friends, welcome to Leelalicious. I'm Regina and today I'm going to show you how to grow a kombucha Scoby. This is going to be the first part of a new kombucha brewing series, so be sure to check back in the following weeks on how to brew your own kombucha and how to flavor it with secondary fermentation. Kombucha is one of the 4 fermented foods that I always make and have on hand for my family. The other ones are sauerkraut, be sure to check out that video, homemade yogurt, I have an Instant Pot recipe video for that up too, and sourdough bread. I'll be working on a video for that soon too. So what is a Scoby and why do we need it to make kombucha? Let me show you. This is what is called a Scoby hotel. I'm saving extra Scobies here in this tea mixture. So you can see it's kind of this gelatinous film. It's also sometimes called a kombucha mushroom or the kombucha mother, and it is necessary to make kombucha. You can also see it here on top of my current kombucha batch. The name Scoby is actually an acronym. It stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. And that's exactly what it is, yeast and bacteria that work in a relationship to facilitate the kombucha fermentation process. With sauerkraut and other lactoferments, the fermentation happens spontaneously because the lactobacillus is present naturally on the outside of these vegetables. In order to ferment tea into kombucha, we need to introduce these bacteria and yeast. One of the most important parts of a Scoby is a specific bacteria called Acetobacter xylanus. There's another name for it. I will not attempt to pronounce it. I will put it here on the screen though. And this specific bacteria is producing cellulose, which eventually forms the film that you see on top of kombucha brews. And this cellulose producing feature is one of the reasons you can actually see the microbial cultures that produce kombucha, unlike yogurt or sauerkraut where all of the action happens on a microscopic level. So, how do you get a Scoby? The first option would be to check in with any of your friends that are brewing kombucha. From my kombucha batch, you can see that the Scoby just keeps producing. If you would be nearby, I would gladly share a piece with you, and then you could quickly get started on brewing your own kombucha. The second option to also get you started faster on brewing kombucha is to check at your local health food store or maybe some online sites. You may be able to buy a piece of Scoby in a little bit of kombucha liquid and get started that way. If neither of those are an option for you, keep watching this video. I'm going to show you how you can grow your own Scoby. All you need for that is some strongly brewed black tea and some raw unflavored kombucha. Again, you can check in at a local health food store, but kombucha is also quite common in regular grocery store chains now, and it's quite expensive. So all of this is the first step to get you to brewing your own kombucha and saving a lot of money down the road. Ideally, the store-bought kombucha would be unflavored, and make sure that it says it's live or raw or active cultures. And if you can see on the bottom, the little floaties, that is the part we want. That is already the start of a Scoby or a mother, and it's a sign of bacterial activity in your bottled kombucha. Make sure that the store-bought kombucha is not pasteurized. That process usually kills all bacterial activity and you won't have any success in growing the Scoby. So once you've found your store-bought raw kombucha, let's get started with growing the Scoby, because this process will take 3 to 4 weeks. So let's not waste any more time. We want to get you to brewing your own kombucha as soon as possible. So next we need to brew some strong tea. A 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. You can use simple white sugar or cane sugar. There's no need to get fancy here. This sugar is to feed the bacteria in the kombucha and will mostly be used up anyway. Add that to a jar together with about a tablespoon of loose leaf tea or 3 tea bags. Now add 2 cups of hot water. And stir everything together until the sugar dissolves. Now let the tea brew or steep until it cools down to room temperature. It will be quite strong black tea, but that is what is necessary to feed the culture that produces a Scoby. So don't even try to use any kind of uncaffeinated. Even green tea is not recommended for growing your Scoby. Later on, once you have your Scoby, you can use green tea to make kombucha, but for growing a Scoby, black tea is the best option. Once the tea has cooled down to room temperature, remove the tea bags or strain out the loose leaf tea. And now we need a jar or container to grow the Scoby in. I like using this kind of glass bowl because it is circular and because it has a similar size to what my kombucha brewing vessel has. But you don't need to worry too much about the shape because eventually as you start brewing kombucha, it will grow and expand to cover the surface of whatever container you're using. To that bowl or jar, add your strong brewed tea and your 1 cup of raw kombucha, ideally with the floaties from the bottom of the jar included. Now cover it with a piece of paper towel or fabric and fasten it with a rubber band. Just make sure that you're not covering it airtight. Now place your jar or vessel somewhere off to the side in a cool, dark kitchen cabinet, and you can almost forget about it for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Of course, you'll probably want to check in on it regularly. If everything is working well, by around day 4, you should be seeing a thin gelatinous film forming on top of the liquid. And with time, that film will just keep getting thicker and thicker. You can start checking in on the thickness of it by around day 21 or 3 weeks. Once it reaches about a 1/4 inch in thickness, you are ready to start brewing your own kombucha. We'll go into the details of that in the next video. If you're not ready to brew kombucha yet, but you have your Scoby, you can keep it in a Scoby hotel, like I have here. These are actually my extras, because as I'm brewing kombucha, the Scoby just keeps growing and expanding, and the thicker it is, the faster the fermentation process. So regularly I divide my Scoby. I take off layers either horizontally. You can also cut pieces off, but don't throw them away. I've only had it happen once, but during one of our moves, the covering of my kombucha jar must have shifted and some debris or impurities got in, and my Scoby started to grow mold. But luckily I had a backup in my Scoby hotel, which is just the cellulose-like layers or gel films, and the liquid is strongly brewed tea, which of course turns into kombucha over time. Once in a while, maybe every 6 to 12 months, you can refresh the liquid inside to just keep feeding the cultures that are in this hotel. Otherwise, I have it in the back of my pantry and just leave it there to set and forget, just in case I need it. And because the Scoby hotel is sealed off airtight with lid, it doesn't continuously keep producing new Scobies at the top layer. We're just maintaining and keeping alive the extra Scobies from our large batch of kombucha. And this is how you grow your own Scoby. I wish you great success at growing your own Scoby, or maybe you have gotten one from a kombucha brewing friend, or you found it at the health food store. Then check back for my next video where I'm going to show you step by step how to brew your own kombucha. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with your kombucha loving friends. Let me know in the comments, are you ready to grow your own Scoby and start making kombucha at home? I will see you soon in my next video. Bye for now.